All right,
All right.
let's go. So, welcome back, everybody. We got a another special video episode. Obviously, you got my brother Charles, as usual, over here. Got my brother Johnny coming in today to talk to us. Like Sean, we've known Johnny quite a long time. Charles, obviously, a little bit longer than me, but very good friend of mine as well. Been having a pretty good last few years, man. Got married to started doing real estate, which is part of the reason we brought you on here because pretty sure everybody has questions. I want to get into real estate as as I get older because it's pretty much one of the only ways to build your wealth outside of investing in the market, the stock market, or a few other commodities. But uh, but yeah, man. Obviously, I was especially curious. What made you want to start doing real estate?
Yeah. So I guess it goes back to my mom was in real estate before.
Okay.
So I grew up just hanging out with her, going to show houses, changing out locks, all that kind of stuff. And I was pretty adamant about trying to figure out a different path. And then finally just sat back and realized like that's the one thing that I really enjoyed doing. So decided to make the career change and take the classes, get my license, and it's been going pretty good so far. I'm about 3 months in right now, and I'm liking it so far. So I'm happy with that decision that I made.
Now you were working with Apple for like a pretty long time, right?
Yeah, I was worked on the retail side, did customer sales, and then also business sales.
And did you start doing something else before? Because obviously, we don't talk all the time. So I know you were doing Apple for a while, and then you did something else like directly, like right after that, before you started doing real estate.
Yeah, I worked in a so when I got my degree, it was in public health, so I
Okay.
made a jump back into the healthcare field for a couple of years. Um, that was going pretty good. I did enjoy it, but just wasn't the full calling that I was hoping for. So then made the shift again to get my real estate license.
'Cause some people are better off just working for themselves, man. Like honestly, I have a buddy that's a little older than mine, a little older than me, named Jermaine, and he almost like he became a mentor to me. But he got his degree in microbiology, and he was working in the Cleveland clinic for a while because he's actually from Cleveland. And he was like, dude, I was so bored after doing that for like a year or two. He was like, it just wasn't. He was like, it was depressing. He's like, you're always in a lab. You're always like pretty much you don't get to talk to people, and that's pretty much what he enjoys, man. Like he's just a very charismatic person. So like now he does personal training, and plus he hit it pretty big on the stock market, which is he got me into stocks because I was always very interested in the stock market. Plus, I like numbers, probably not as much as other people, but stock market is all about tracking trends and just pretty much doing research, which are two things that I greatly enjoy doing. So, but anyways, I'm poor, so I had to hold off on the market right now. Had to hold off on the market right now. So um, that's what's
That could
up, man.
definitely get expensive if you start losing some money in there.
Bro, I gotta,
Dude, it's more than that, man. It's addicting.
yeah, definitely.
You start like trading low, and then you're just like, oh, I just made like $1 today off like a 2 cent trade. Like I'm gonna keep doing it, and then it's just like a spiral.
Like like my buddy was always really adamant because it's like once you put your money into the market, like as long as you don't pull it out, then theoretically you're not losing any money. So it's like if as long as you like, and what I used to do is like I always used to move around my money. Like so if I would start losing a lot, then I would sell it, lose maybe like a few dollars, and then just reinvest it into something else that was on the up. And then when I would just reinvest, like I would just move my securities
Yeah,
around like that.
reinvest what you made. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. Like I said, I haven't really been investing lately, but yeah, it's definitely a good, for anybody listening, a good way to increase your revenue, um, especially if you know where to invest. like my buddy was really big on like pharmaceutical stocks. So I mean, if you, I don't really like if you're kind of like moral, like some moral people don't really want to invest in pharmaceutical companies because they be doing some shady shit. But if you're okay with making $1 off of pharmaceuticals, then it's definitely a good place to put your money. But it's a risky place too. Obviously, it's a investing in the
Yeah.
market is very very risky. But anyways, back on topic. But yeah, man. So is there any particular type of sales that you're like expecting to do as your career moves forward, or like are you aiming for a particular like market in real estate, or
Yeah, I'm pretty focused in, so living in Charlotte now. My office is actually in Mooresville, but we're like our main market is the Lake Norman area.
okay?
So I'm pretty focused on that, trying to get some waterfront properties and get into that luxury side of things. Starting out though, I'm taking anything I can get, helping out investors. I've been helping out people that are just kind of moving from out of town looking for their retirement home, or people getting their first house. I've got a client doing that too. So right now it's just kind of open book, just taking what I can get. That's the kind of the blessing and the curse of real estate, like 100% commission. So
Right.
you take what you can get, and if you're not willing to grind it out and get started, then you're not really going to make the money. So,
Is it so? Would you because like you said, your parents were in it. So did it take them a while to build their customer base, or was it one of those things that they were pretty good about meeting people that needed how I'm assuming houses like residential houses to be sold. Because I'm assuming you can also sell like skyscrapers and all other types of things if you're in that market.
yeah,
Just so that's the other reason I was asking. But obviously, we live in a world where you can be there's so much more entrepreneurs, so many more entrepreneurs. So it's like you can like for instance, me and Charles like to stream. I like to make content. So I also like streaming. So it's just interesting, like you said. Obviously, it's a different type of grind, but anybody I've ever talked to that has owned any type of business has always told me it was a grind. Like I haven't really met anybody that's had a successful business that hasn't told me it starts off slow, and pretty much like you said, if you're not willing to put in the hours and like lower your expectations and be humble while you're building then it's like of course you're gonna fail, man, because it's not something that you can just have quickly. um
You got to build it up from
exactly.
nothing, essentially, in most cases.
Absolutely, man.
yeah.
You have
It's
any
definitely.
go ahead, bro.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say like it's definitely one of those things where like each transaction, each person that you meet, you learn stuff from. Like I remember the first showing I did, people were asking me questions, and I was like, I have no clue what you're asking me. But then for the second time, I go out and I'm ready for those types of questions.
I
And you
mean,
just kind of go from
it's a
there.
whole learning thing.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
just
but
you learn from every person that you come in contact with and talk to, whether it's you learn something that you need to know by asking someone else, or you figure it out.
yeah, that's true. That's
Are
that's
you
how the greats get to where they are. They take the opportunities that they've got, and they just keep moving up from there.
now? Are you planning on starting your own? Was it at a firm? Would it be like called a firm? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it'd be called.
So would you plan on starting your own firm after? I'm assuming you're gonna work under somebody for maybe like a few years. Um,
Yeah, it might be something that I looked into in the future. Where I'm at right now, I've got a pretty good setup, and I like the opportunities that they give me.
okay.
So at least probably 3, 4, 5 years minimum, I'll probably stay with them unless something drastic changes. Um, but then down the road, probably look into that. The hard part about it is like you go work for like the big box names that you see signs for everywhere, like
Hmm.
you're paying a lot of fees, and that's like you're just shelling out a lot of money to stay with those companies. But then when you go start your own thing, all those signs, all the marketing, everything like that, you then have to pay for out of pocket. So it's kind of a catch-22. Like if you've got enough clientele and you're making enough money, going to pay for all those signs and marketing and stuff like that, that's nothing to you. But getting started, I think it's definitely best to stay with under a firm and stay under a team that's going to help you out with those things, so you don't have to pay as much out of pocket.
No, that's interesting that you say that because I was reading because obviously I'm a big nerd when it comes to video games. So like I was actually reading what was it like a few days ago? They were talking about Bungie was talking about how they'll never make another DLC that's as big as the one that they made. I think it was like a year or two ago called Forsaken, which because they had just split up with Activision, which was their parent company, but they're pretty much talking about how the resources were a lot different than the ones that they had when they were working for Activision. So like the article was pretty much talking about how yeah, it's a really good idea. Like they're super excited that they're working by themselves now because they get to have their own ideas and they get to do different things now. But like you said, it's just you can tell the resources are different when you got people pretty much giving you money to do certain things to
Yeah.
help out. Like so, it's interesting, man. Like I said, as you get older, you see how the side of business works like in anything that you're doing, just the similarities like across the board when you're trying to pretty much do marketing because marketing is just expensive, man. Like I don't even want to get into I used to want to rap man, and then like once you find out it's like pretty much I think it's like $100,000 just to get your song on the radio, like just to have like one song on the radio. um
That's insane.
and
That's
then like
wild. I didn't know
there's
that.
there's so much money in music, man, which is why like you never see a lot of people make it big because it's like the funding that you need to market yourself is ridiculous. Not to mention the sheer amount of people trying to make music, especially now in today's digital age, is just
Yeah.
astronomical. So,
It makes sense
but
now, knowing these artists that lose all their money after a couple of years. Like if they're putting in so much, then
what
they
you
can't.
remember what they used to do was they used to sign you off the street and give you like $1 million, $2 million to make the album. But the problem is like it's literally a loan. So like if you don't make that back or you don't spend it wisely to even make it back at all, then it's like yeah, you're fucked. You're pretty much in like a $2 million debt to a record label company. And that's why like you'll see people too that they'll sign on for 5, 6 albums and then like that happened to Lupe Fiasco. Like Lupe Fiasco was signed on for I think 6 records, and by the third one, he wanted to stop after 3. So he made pretty much two bullshit albums, and then the last one he made to get out of his deal was uh like I forget what it was called. I think it was called Tetsuo and Youth or something like that. But Drake also did something similar, which is why he released like a few of those. I think what was it? If you're hearing this, it's too late. Like
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
like that
Yeah.
that album was like a bullshit like album. Like he was just trying to get out of his Young Money contract. So
Hmm. I didn't know that.
yeah, man.
That's interesting.
I got that useless knowledge. It's not it's not gonna make me money sometimes, but it makes me feel better. But uh, but yeah, man. But yeah, that's dope, dude. Like I said, I like real estate. I'm assuming you're gonna also look into buying properties for yourself at
yeah,
some point.
yeah. That's ultimately probably my end goal, is just to be able to get a couple rental properties or houses to flip to make money off of. Because I mean, it just makes so much sense to have real estate in your portfolio.
Right.
Not, most years it's going like the stock market, up and to the right, is a term I've heard a lot, and you're just that's appreciating. And the worst case scenario, if that house doesn't appreciate, if you if you get into a house, let's say for $100,000, and you put a renter into it, and then they're paying you to rent it out, they're paying your mortgage. So it doesn't matter if that house isn't, if you turn around to try to sell that house, if it's not making you money, like they're paying down your mortgage at the end of the day. If you need to refinance that house, if you need to do anything really, like you're still getting money out of it. And every month that they pay you, if you're if they're renting it from you for more than what your mortgage is, like you're making cash every month on top of that. So there's just so many avenues that you can work with rental properties.
It's a win-win situation. When they're paying your mortgage, so it's like
Definitely.
no extra money out of your pocket.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
But
ideally if I could get to a spot where I'm making enough to cover my monthly expenses just from my rental properties, like that's the ideal space to be. And you don't really have to work day to day to make your money. You just got to keep those houses rented out. And that's something like, I don't know, maybe 10 houses to own. And then you own those houses, renting them out every month, making maybe 3-4 grand a month. Like that's bare minimum just to make it by. So
and then once those houses are paid off, if you're still renting them out, that's all money to you.
yeah, exactly.
And yeah, that's wild. Can you being that you're working for, your company, can you sell houses on your own, like on the side? Or does everything have to be through them?
Yeah, so when you get your license, you have to legally hang it with a firm or create your own firm. But once you're with that firm, everything gets funneled through there. So if I wanted to list a house for sale, if somebody wanted to buy a house, they're going to be working with me as the individual, but it's under the umbrella of the firm.
So
I think
if you have your own and that one too, or is it just like a one track thing?
Just a one track thing, yeah.
Okay.
I read somewhere like because there's like a time requirement before you can be like a broker, right? Like it's like three or like is it like 3 or 4 years or something like that? Like working under somebody.
So each state's different. So
Okay.
North Carolina, you go through they call it pre-licensing. You go through 75 hours of classwork, take an exam, then you're what they call a provisional broker. Um, I can do everything as a provisional broker that a full broker can do, except advertise for myself, which means having my own firm. So like I basically have to be under somebody. But then you have to take 3 classes, which 30 hours a piece for each class. Once you pass those classes, then you become a full broker, and then at that point you can do your own advertising and do whatever you want. So that's kind of how it is in North Carolina. It might be different in other states, but
Hmm.
yeah,
So is that what you're doing when you say that you're in class, or like you're on your virtual class?
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
That's
With
interesting.
everything going on, they're allowing us to do
Yeah.
it through Zoom and Skype and stuff like that. So Um, yeah, so like 2 times a week I have class, and I'm just trying to get them knocked out as quick as possible. You technically have, I think it's 18 months to get all the classes done, but I'm trying to get them all
Oh,
knocked out
damn.
in like 2 months so that I
Yeah.
can just be done with it.
Get that shit out the way.
Yeah.
1000%.